You need to understand something before I tell you what you saw. You are not the kind of person who sees things. You are 16 years old, and you have never believed in ghosts, and you have always been the person in the horror movie who rolls their eyes at the character who hears a noise in the basement and decides to investigate alone instead of leaving immediately. You have always known exactly what you would do in that situation. You would leave, obviously. You would leave immediately and completely and without looking back. It is Wednesday, third period. You have a bathroom pass from Mrs. Rodriguez's English class, and you chose the third floor bathroom specifically because the third floor bathroom is always empty during third period. And sometimes you need 2 minutes alone in a quiet place, and this is that quiet place. You push open the door. You walk in. The bathroom is empty. Three stalls, all open, fluorescent light buzzing slightly the way it always buzzes. The smell of industrial cleaner and old tile. Completely ordinary. Completely fine. You wash your hands. You look up at the mirror. And in the mirror, behind you, in the reflection of the stall at the far end, there is a girl. She is standing inside the closed stall. You can see her through the gap between the door and the frame. She is completely still. She is wearing clothes that are wrong for today. Old, the kind of old that is not vintage old, but actually old, decades old. And she is looking directly at you through the mirror. You spin around. The stall door is open. The stall is empty. You look back at the mirror. She is still there. Your brain does what brains do when they encounter something that does not fit any available category. It tries every category anyway. Trick of the light. You look at the light. The fluorescent tube is buzzing but steady, not flickering, not creating illusions. Reflection from another mirror. You look around the bathroom. There is one mirror, the one you are standing in front of. There is no second mirror that could produce a reflection of a reflection. Someone in the stall you did not notice. You checked. All three stalls are open. You can see under every door. There are no feet. There is no one. Your brain runs out of categories. The girl in the mirror has not moved. She is standing perfectly still in the reflection of the closed stall. The stall that is, when you turn around, visibly, demonstrably, impossibly open and empty. She is looking at you with an expression that you will spend the next several days trying to describe to people and failing every time because the expression does not map onto anything in your experience of human faces. It is not threatening. It is not sad. It is patient. The expression of someone who has been waiting for a very long time for something and has made their peace with the waiting and is now simply watching. You notice you are cold, not the cold of a room with poor heating, the cold of something localized, a specific drop in temperature centered on where you are standing that was not there 60 seconds ago. You notice the fluorescent light has stopped buzzing. The bathroom is completely silent, and the girl in the mirror raises one hand, slowly, and she points, not at you, behind you, at the wall behind you, at something on the wall behind you that when you spin around, again, you spin around, again, there is nothing there. It's completely blank painted concrete. You leave the bathroom. You do not walk. You do not run, because running would mean fully accepting what just happened, and you are not ready to fully accept what just happened. You move at the specific velocity of someone who has decided that distance is necessary and dignity is still technically possible. You make it to the stairwell. You make it down one flight, and then you sit on the stairs and you breathe, and you try to remember what normal feels like. You find Jay at lunch. You sit across from him. You put your tray down. You look at him. He looks at you. He says, "You look like you saw a ghost." You say, "Jay?" He says, "What?" You say, "I need you to listen to me and not immediately tell me I am wrong." Jay puts his fork down. This is significant. Jay does not put his fork down while eating. He says, "Okay, talk." You tell him everything. The third floor bathroom, the empty stalls, the mirror, the girl, the closed stall that was open when you turned around, the cold, the silence, the pointing. Jay listens to all of it. He does not interrupt. He promised he would not immediately tell you that you are wrong. And he is a person who keeps promises even when keeping them requires significant effort. When you finish, he is quiet for 4 seconds. Then he says, "Okay, I have 3 questions." You say, "Go ahead." He says, "One, did you eat breakfast this morning?" 2. Did you sleep properly last night? 3. And I'm asking this with complete sincerity and zero judgment. Is there any chance you fell asleep in English class and this was a very vivid dream? You say yes, yes, and absolutely not. I was wide awake and standing at a sink with water on my hands, and I am telling you what I saw. Jay picks his fork back up. He looks at it. Then he says, I don't believe in ghosts. You say, I know. He says, I have never believed in ghosts. You say, I know that too. He says, but I believe that you believe what you saw. And you are not a person who imagines things. So either something happened that has an explanation we haven't found yet, or he stops. You say, or what? Jay says, or something happened that doesn't have an explanation. And I don't know what to do with that second option. So I'm going to need some time. You say, take your time. He says, also, I'm not going to the third floor bathroom for the rest of the year. You say, that seems reasonable. He picks up his fork. He eats his lunch. The cafeteria is loud and bright and completely normal. And Jay is right across the table. And for a few minutes, that is enough. You go to Mr. Harris after school. Not because he is the obvious person to go to. He is your history teacher. He teaches the French Revolution and the Cold War and the specific causes of World War I that he has explained 17 different ways because the class keeps not understanding them. He is not on paper the person you go to when you have seen something in a bathroom mirror. But Mr. Harris has been teaching in this building for 22 years. And something about the girl in the mirror, the clothes that were old in a specific way, the patience in her expression, the way she pointed at a blank wall as if she knew exactly what was on the other side of it, makes you want to talk to someone who has been here long enough to know the building the way buildings are known when you have spent decades inside them. Mr. Harris looks up when you knock on the open door. He says, come in. Close the door. You close the door. You sit in the chair across from his desk that students sit in when they are in trouble or need help. And you are in neither category exactly, but you sit in it anyway. You tell him what you saw, more carefully than you told Jay, with the specific detail and sequence that you have been organizing in your head all afternoon. The mirror, the girl, the closed stall, the cold, the pointing. Mr. Harris listens. He does not write anything down. He does not reach for his phone. He folds his hands on the desk and he listens with the complete attention of someone who has been listening to people for 22 years and knows the difference between someone who is lying and someone who is frightened. When you finish, he is quiet for a long moment. Then he says, what was she wearing? You describe it. The dress, the collar, the specific cut of it that felt wrong for today. Mr. Harris nods slowly. He says, did she have dark hair, tied back? You stare at him. You say yes. He nods again. He looks at his desk for a moment. Then he looks back at you and he says, I am not going to tell you what you saw or did not see. I'm not going to tell you it was your imagination. What I'm going to tell you is that you are not the first student to come to me after using the third floor bathroom. The room is very quiet. You say, who was she? Mr. Harris says her name was Clara. She was a student here in 1962. There was a fire in the East Wing, which was demolished and rebuilt in 1967. 3 students did not get out. Clara was one of them. You say, the wall. She was pointing at the wall. Mr. Harris says, the East Wing, where she was when the fire started. The wall she pointed at is the wall that used to connect to the corridor, where he stops. He looks at you carefully. He says, are you all right? You think about the patience in her expression, the specific patience of someone who has been waiting for a very long time and has made their peace with the waiting. You say, I think she just wanted someone to know where she was. Mr. Harris is quiet. Then he says very quietly, I think you might be right. You cannot sleep. This is not surprising. You have spent the afternoon and evening doing the things you normally do. Homework, dinner, talking to your parents who notice you are quiet and ask if you are okay, and you say yes, because the alternative requires an explanation you are not ready to give. And underneath all of it, the third floor bathroom has been running on a separate track. The mirror, the cold, the pointing. Clara, Jay texts at 10 p.m. He says, still thinking about it. You say, me too. He says, I looked up the school history online. Did you know there was a fire here in 1962? You say, I know. A long pause. Then Jay says, "How do you know?" You say, "Mr. Harris." Another pause. Longer. Then he knew about her? You say, "He said I wasn't the first." The longest pause yet. Then Jay sends a single message. "I am not going to the third floor bathroom for the rest of my life. Not just this year. My life." You almost smile. Almost. You put the phone down and you look at the ceiling and you think about Clara. 1962. 16 years old. You looked it up. She would have been exactly your age, sitting in this same building, walking these same hallways, probably complaining about the same kinds of things you complain about: tests and teachers and lunch and the specific small frustrations of being 16 inside an institution that moves at its own pace, regardless of yours. And then the fire. And then 60 years of a third floor bathroom and a mirror and students who came and went and mostly did not see her. And then you, on a Wednesday, with a bathroom pass from English class. You look out the window, your street, the school visible 2 blocks away, its upper floors dark except for the safety lighting. The third floor windows, one of them is lit. You look at it for a long time. Then you close the curtain. You get into bed. You close your eyes. You say quietly to no one in particular, and possibly to someone specific, "I know where you were, Clara. I know." The light outside your curtain, when you check one more time before sleep finally comes, is gone. The next morning, you walk past the third floor bathroom on the way to your locker. You do not go in. You are never going in that bathroom again. This is not cowardice. This is the completely reasonable decision of a person who has enough information about a location to make an informed choice and has made it. But you stop outside the door for a moment. The hallway is empty. First period has started, and you are technically late, and the bathroom pass in your bag is already being reconsidered as a daily strategy. But you stop, and you say, quietly to the door, to the mirror on the other side of it, to whoever or whatever is or is not in there, "I told Mr. Harris. He knows. People know." Nothing happens. The hallway stays empty. The fluorescent lights buzz normally. The bathroom door does not move. You walk to class. Jay is already in his seat when you get there. He looks at you. You give him a small nod that means, "I'm okay." He gives you a nod back that means, "Good," because that is the language of best friends, the entire conversation in 2 nods. Here is what I want to tell you. The thing that the mirror and Mr. Harris and Clara's name and the light in the window could not fully say, but that I can say now. Every building that has held people for long enough holds more than the people remember. Schools, especially, built to contain generation after generation, decade after decade, young people who are exactly as alive and complicated and present as you are right now, and who passed through and left and are gone. Most of them leave nothing behind. Most of them walk out the front door for the last time, and the building moves on without them immediately. And that is fine. That is ordinary. That is how most stories end. But some of them leave something: a feeling in a corridor, a cold spot in a room, a reflection in a mirror that appears to someone standing at a sink on a Wednesday morning with a bathroom pass from English class. You do not have to believe in ghosts to believe in that. You do not have to believe in anything supernatural to understand that some people, some lives, some endings do not fully close. That they leave an impression on the places they inhabited, the way a hand leaves an impression in clay. Not permanent, not speaking, but present. Unmistakably, undeniably present. Clara was 16. She was in this building. She was here. Now you know she was here, and she knows that you know. And maybe, just maybe, that is all she needed. You go to class, you sit down. The lesson starts. Outside the window, the school building continues. Old, full of hallways and classrooms and stairwells, and one third floor bathroom where the fluorescent light buzzes and the mirror reflects things that may or may not always be there. You do not look out the window. You take out your notebook. You write the date at the top of the page, and you begin. If you have ever seen something in a school or an old building that you could not explain, drop it in the comments. Not to prove anything, just because some stories deserve to be told. Subscribe to Borrowed Lives. Every week, a different life. Every week, something that stays with you. See you in the next Borrowed Life.